Hi everyone, welcome back to Adventure Wheels. We are just on our way to drop our caravan off at Coach Built in Warwickshire. It's going to have a pretty major overhaul to address some of the problems we've had with it. Coming up in this video, we're going to be telling you a little bit more about that and also giving you some advice to avoid being in the same situation that we have. But right now, let's get this caravan dropped off and then we'll tell you more. Okay, so let's get down to the nitty-gritty. And when we brought our caravan back in 2017, we brought it second-hand, but it was one of the most expensive caravans that we could afford in our budget. And the reason for that was that we wanted something with the older wet central heating system, and that would take us away from blown air heating, which might not be very good for Carla's chest and her breathing. So unfortunately we didn't have that much of a budget left over for the wheelchair adaptations. So that summer that we picked it up, we set about doing some of the internal woodwork changes ourselves. Basically just me and my saw and my screwdriver trying to take things apart and piece it back together. But we reached a point where we couldn't do any more ourselves, and we were aware that there was a local workshop close to us in Dorset that had done a wider door on a caravan in the past, and they could do it for what we thought was a reasonable price. So we took it down there, dropped it off, and a couple of weeks later we picked it up with its new door. And they'd also rewired the consumer unit as well, because it was in the way. It was literally just here, so the L-shaped lounge that we've created, there would have just been a massive consumer unit here, so it had to be moved slightly further back, as you might have seen from our previous video. So we were so happy to have our caravan back, get Carla in it for the first time and go on our first proper trip and get that first taste of what life was like on the road with our own accessible hotel on wheels, and it was absolutely amazing. But after about 6 months the picture started to change slightly and things started to go a little bit wrong. The first big problem we had was that we were getting a really bad electrical burning smell. If any of the viewers know what that is like, then you know exactly what it is. There is something wrong, and I knew that there was something wrong with the electrics in the caravan, but we couldn't pinpoint what it was. So after a couple of trips we actually discovered that we had some really burnt out electrical connections, and I peered down the back of where they relocated the consumer unit to, and there was this connection and it had a little puff of smoke coming off it, and that was coming off the 230-volt wire. And what we realised was that instead of running a new piece of cable through, they actually just bridged the gap. They added a new piece of wire in to extend it. And along the high voltage cable that was going to our 3 kilowatt boiler, it was going through too many connections, and to say it was dangerous I think was a bit of an understatement. So all of that wiring got replaced, new wiring got put into all the plugs as it should have been done, and everything sort of felt great again. But then after that we noticed that things were starting to go wrong with the door. The door was becoming really stiff to open and close, and we noticed that the hinges were starting to seize, and where they had started to seize, it was actually ripping the door panel away from the frame that it was sitting in. So every couple of trips I had to try and work it free and run some oil through the hinges just to try and loosen them up, and we kept it going, and then everything was great again. And another couple of trips and they started to seize again, and it just became an absolute nightmare. We have actually learnt that there's a design flaw within these hinges, so we know that it wasn't something we were doing wrong or the way that it was fitted. They are just really cheap rubbish hinges. But one of the biggest issues, and possibly one of the worst issues we had, was on our very first big adventure, which was our big trip around Scotland. We arrived at a campsite back down in Glasgow, having towed through the Glencoe mountain range, and discovered that coming up at the top corner and the bottom corner of our door were 2 massive cracks. And we later discovered that the door hadn't actually properly been reinforced, so it was a huge expense to try and put that right, and the door was eventually reinforced and off we went again. But then the hinge issue kept continuing, and we reached the point where it was just becoming an absolute nightmare and we didn't want to carry on. with the door as it was, and at some point we knew that we were going to sell this caravan and move on to the next one, and we couldn't in all good conscience sell this caravan with problems, so we wanted to make sure that everything was right. So we reached out and we had a conversation with the lovely people at Coachbuilt, and we showed them our door and they were a little bit horrified as to what they found, and we agreed a plan going forward, and that was that they were going to put one of their brand new doors in, and that would fix all the problems because they're better quality doors and they do the workmanship properly, and we felt really happy that that was a good plan going forward. So that was done a couple of months ago, and we've actually towed this caravan 3,000 miles since they did the work, so I know that it's absolutely solid, and we have put the caravan through some quite harsh conditions and all their workmanship has held up really well. But let's show you what's been done. So the new wider door is actually slightly wider than our old wider door, so they had to cut the panel and make it slightly larger, and when they removed our old door they actually discovered quite a lot of damp within that panel, within that reinforcement that had been made, and the damp had actually spread underneath our caravan floor as well, none of which we had any idea about, so there was a little bit more work than we originally thought. But they made all that good, they fitted the new door, they had it paint matched to the colour of our caravan, they fitted new graphics, and it looks absolutely amazing. They did also have to reinforce the panel from the inside, so they've built out the cupboard slightly so that there's structural support on the inside right around the door frame. So we've actually ended up with a few handy shelves, which is really nice. We did also pimp the door a bit ourselves. When we originally got it there was a magazine rack on the inside of the door, but we added on our door bin from our previous door because that's so much more useful for us, and I also added a few self-adhesive hooks for coats and jumpers and everything, and it's just so nice to use. All the touch points on the inside of the door are really nice metal fixtures as well, so it feels really premium, and it also closes with a really nice clunk and it feels absolutely solid. I said it felt like a bank vault door when you close it because it's so secure, and Carla said it really reminds her of an airplane door when we close it, which I thought was really funny. So as we're starting to get into the colder months, we've noticed that it's an awful lot more insulated than our previous door as well, and actually our previous door was so badly sealed that you could literally see daylight through it. So yeah, I honestly don't know why we put up with it for so long. But yeah, we're just chuffed to bits with it. It's totally revolutionised our caravan and it feels like brand new. And we're so grateful to the team at Coachbuilt for doing the work and making it look so amazing as well. It looks so original, you almost wouldn't know that it's a wheelchair adapted caravan. Carla and I actually became brand ambassadors for Coachbuilt earlier in this year, which we were really excited about. But if you've been emailing Adventure Wheels over the past 5 years, or if you've messaged us for advice, then we have always said the same to you. Go to the specialists, go to Coachbuilt. They do this sort of work day in, day out. It's pretty much all they do. They're experts in their field, and as we've experienced, they'll do a much better job than anyone else. And I wish that originally we just spent a couple more months saving up and then we would have been able to go straight to them as opposed to doing it for half the price, and what we have actually done is ended up spending more than what we would have done originally. So yeah, we just wanted to put this message out to you to say, hey look, this is our experience. You live and you learn, and I hope that you learn from us and so you don't have to go through the similar sort of thing to what we've experienced. But yeah, as I say, it's so nice to have our caravan back, looking amazing, feeling great to use, and we cannot wait for the adventures ahead. So thanks very much for watching Adventure Wheels. Thanks for subscribing, and do stick with us because our next video is going to be our 2,500 mile road trip to Italy, where we explore Lake Maggiore, move on to Venice, which if you were following Adventure Wheels on social media at the time, some of you guys are really interested in how we did Venice with a wheelchair. And then after that we head up to the Dolomites mountain range. And it was one of the best trips we've ever been on, and we cannot wait to share it with you. So please subscribe, look out for that. In the meantime, we'll say thank you so much for watching, keep exploring, and we'll see you again very soon.